Hello, good morning, or afternoon, or midnight, whenever you get to this. It's fine. Um, I am so happy that I am here. Wish I could see your faces, but that's what office hours are for. So if you need help, please, please, please come to office hours. I hang out kind of like on here, but on this app called Zoom. I hang out there for 1 hour, Mondays at 3 to 4, Thursdays from 11 to noon, and Fridays from 2 to 3. So hopefully one of those times works for you, and if not, to email me and schedule something else, because I really want to be there to help you, and I actually really want to hang out. Like I miss the interaction with you. This is just me talking to myself. I actually have a little owl over here that I talk to, so that way I have somebody that I'm teaching. But it's so sad to be a teacher without students. So hopefully you come say hi. We 2 weeks ago, before spring break, wrapped up chapter 8, which meant I gave you a quiz, which I haven't looked at yet because I'm actually recording this before spring break, but hopefully means that you did super well and didn't need any help. But if you did need help, hopefully you came and saw me. Please, please, please. And if you're still struggling, let me know. Chapter 8 was a rush. It was a weird time of our lives. We had no idea what was happening. We still kind of don't. And so it was a thing that happened in the past. So what we're doing right now is we're doing a fresh start with chapter 9. Now, normally in school, I teach you one lesson every time I see you. In this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you one lesson every week, and we're going to break it up into 2 parts. Okay? We're going to do every lesson twice, basically, a little bit harder each time. That way you kind of get used to the idea of remote learning, and I kind of get used to the idea of teaching that way. So hopefully this works out for us. We'll see otherwise. We're also going to skip 9.1 and do it as part of 9.3 because it makes more sense that way. Otherwise, it's just a weird extra thing to learn. So, I don't know if you're still following along. It helps me to write out the notes. And I'm going to post these all in Google Classroom like I normally do. This right here, this should be our new tab page. It's really sad to me for not having a new tab, but I don't want to like print them all out on colored paper and mail them to you or something. So when we come back, we're going to put a tab on this one, so just skip it. Okay, that's where our chapter 9 review is going to go. And then, like I said, we're going to skip 9 once. That's not a 9. 9-2, which is solving quadratics. And this is all solving quadratics. Today is specifically solving quadratics by graphing, which is going to be a specific type. There are 4 total ways that we're going to solve, and I do hope that you know all of them. So one of them is by graphing, one of them is by completing the square, one of them is by quadratic formula, and one of them is by factoring, which you might actually be the best at because we've been doing that for so long. So we'll get to that as we go, though. That's going to be our whole chapter 9, basically. It's going to be fine. So let's talk about this. I want to solve. What does it mean to solve a quadratic function? Well, a solution to a quadratic is the same thing as the roots of a quadratic, which is the same thing as the zeros of a quadratic, which is the same thing as the x-intercepts. Oh, I can't. That's way over there. It's the same thing as the x-intercepts. You've been finding x-intercepts this whole time. You already know how to do this. It's crazy. You also know how to find the x-intercepts from factored form, which is why we factor to solve sometimes. That's pretty cool. So let me show you what this looks like on an actual graph, right? So here's my quadratic graph. It's a parabola, right? It's that U shape. 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 4, 3, 9. This, I'm going to use purple. This one has 2 solutions. Can you draw me a graph that has no solutions? Yeah, you either drew one that was above the graph or below the graph but didn't touch that line at all. This one has no solutions. And then can you draw me one that has only one? That one's harder. It's one that's touching it. I'm going to do it still right side up because it's going to confuse some people if I just flip this one over. But it's only going to touch and then go back. It's going to be one solution. And these are our options for all quadratics. All quadratics are either two solutions, one solution, or no solution. And when we get to quadratic formula, we're going to have certain ways of finding that out. But right now, you're doing pretty good. These solutions might be, say, 0 and -2. This one's no solution, and this one looks like maybe 1. So those are options. If I gave you a graph, you should be able to tell me where the solutions are on the graph without having to do any solving. And in fact, I do that. Let's fast forward. So these two problems right here, you're just going to tell me what the solutions are just by looking at the graph. Then the other 4, we have to actually graph it to be able to find out. So let's do some examples. Let's solve by graphing. So we're going to solve x squared plus 2x equals 3. Now I want you to notice that we can't, you can hear it already, especially from Beyonce. I can't see. Sorry, that was really mocking. I love you all. I miss you. As you can see, some people will try to like subtract 2x, but remember from our polynomials unit that you can't put things together that don't match. So 2x and 3 are different, so we can't actually do that. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to move everything to one side. We're going to call this x squared plus 2x minus 3 equals 0. Because what I'm doing is I'm subtracting 3 from to over here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to graph y equals x squared plus 2x minus 3. That's what I'm going to graph. I didn't grab my whiteout, I didn't grab my calculator, I didn't grab my graphs. And I'm going to assume you don't have any either, but if you do, plop one down right there. I started printing the graphs because kids would ask me how high this is. It's 3 lines high. You're fine though, it doesn't matter. What do we know about this graph? We know it's standard form. So in standard form, we know the y-intercept is at -3, right? That's from this. We know the axis of symmetry is -b over 2a. So -2/2 times 1, which is -1. So I know the axis of symmetry is at -1. So I also know a second point over here. And then I can plug in -1 into my equation. So I do -1 squared plus 2 times -1 minus 3. And I should get -4. 1 minus 2, yeah, it's -4, perfect. Because I knew that because the shape of the graph is 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 4, right? So it had to be here. Oh, I found one. I found the other. So I usually write my x-intercepts as 0, or something 0, something 0. In this case, what we want for our solutions, we just write x equals. So our solutions are x equals -3 and x equals 1. Because those are my x-intercepts. I had a highlighter somewhere. I'm already losing stuff. So those are my solutions. Cool. To be honest with you, that's all you need to know to be able to graph the last 4. But what I decided to do was to do a couple more examples. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to call it good right here. I'm going to switch over to the homework. And this is your homework. I would prefer that you do it in Big Ideas Math, because what I found is that I get kids emailing me their homework, and then I'm going to lose all the emails because all they say is homework and stuff like that. So either come up with a better system for letting me know what your homework is, and so I can find it easier later maybe, or just do it on Big Ideas Math. Plus, when it says to solve by graphing, I'm willing to bet they're going to give you a graph on there, which is pretty cool. But don't forget that in the top right-hand corner under your name, that's where you go to submit your answers. I didn't know that. We figured it out as we went. It's going to be fine. Who would look under the name where you usually sign out for submitting? I wouldn't. I would look at the bottom, but you know. So you're more than welcome to stop right now, be done, go do your homework. But I'm going to hang around for a little bit and show you at least one more example and maybe even write down the steps. So you're more than welcome to hang out for that too if you're still not quite sure how to do this math. I'll go super slow step by step. That'll be good. So your call. Here's your homework. Okay, bye. Oh, you're still here? You want more? Great. Let's do it. Let's do another example. Let's do an example that confuses people, because I'm going to say it's negative x squared equals 2x plus 4. And you know the reason it confuses people is because the x is over here and it's negative. So what I'm going to do is, like I said earlier, let's change colors. What do you want? Blue. Okay. Let's see if this color shows up. That's probably too late. I'll do darker blue. It's fine. It's totally fine. Let's do some steps. So my first step is I'm going to move everything to one side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the x squared to be over here. I could also move the other two things over, but I really like positive x's. They make me happier. That's a life lesson too, isn't it? So I get that 0 equals x squared plus 2x plus 4. Notice that I didn't put the x squared with anything else because nothing else matched it, but I did put them all to one side. This looks like the last problem on your homework number 21, where it's on this side. You move it over here. And then I graph y equals that equation. So in this case, we're going to graph y equals x squared plus 2x plus 4. And I'm going to give you some micro steps in the middle, because I know a lot of times remembering how to graph, especially since it's been about a month since we actually sat down together and graphed, because it was about 2 weeks and then I taught you, and then it was another week and it's for spring break, and now I'm back. So it's been a while. So remember, we look for the y-intercept is 0c. So my y-intercept is positive 4. You know what? I know this punchline already. So my y-intercept is positive 4. Remember that we do negative b over 2a for the axis of symmetry, right? So I'm going to do negative 2 over 2 times 1, because it goes a, b, c. There's nothing there, it's a 1, right? So that's a negative 1. So I have axis symmetry right here. Oh, excuse me. Plug in axis of symmetry for vertex. So we're going to do negative 1 squared plus 2 times negative 1 plus 4, which will get me 1 minus 2 plus 4, which will be 3. So 3. We can also reflect this. And then remember, it's 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 4. We also know it's 3, 9, but that's not as important here. That's okay. 3. Identify, which means just write it. You can't even see my whole paper. Too bad you couldn't tell me. The x-intercepts. Where are my x-intercepts? You can pause it if you need to write that. You're fine. They're not here. There is no solution. There is no number that I can plug in for x to make negative x squared equal 2x plus 4. You know why? It's probably because of the negative in there, but we'll see. There is no x I can plug in to make this equation work. But these last ones up here, if I were to plug in x equals negative 3 into all the x's, it would equal 3. Or if I were to plug in 1 to all the x's, it would equal 3. So negative 3 squared is 9, plus 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. 9 minus 6, that's 3. And then 1 squared plus 2 times 1, 1 plus 2 is 3. So that's how I know I'm right. I'm always right. Just kidding. I'm not always right. Okay, so let me show you the whole thing. Ooh, actually, let me make it bigger so you can see all the work. That was my last example. I just kind of wanted to show you that one because, first of all, it turns into no solution. And second of all, I wrote out all my steps. That way you have those. So hopefully that helps those of you who are confused. If you're still confused, please come say hi at my office hours, Monday from 3 to 4, Thursday from 11 to noon, and Friday from 2 to 3. They're on Zoom. It's kind of like this, but your faces will be up here too. I have my little tiny whiteboard I can use to answer your questions if you need it, because I don't know how the screen works with the document camera. And ask me all your questions. I'm here for you. I don't want to leave you stranded. I don't want to be lonely talking to my my little owl guy. I don't want any of this. So please come ask me for help. I'm here for you. All right, I'm gonna go back to your homework. If you need to pause that there, go ahead. Here's your homework. First 2 is just identifying from the graph, and then the last 4 are graphing them and finding the solutions. Again, I would highly recommend using bigideasmath.com for this. Remember, you sign in with Clever, and then your assignment's there. But if you're having issues with that, you can just do this homework instead. It's the same. It's the same homework. That one, I think, checks your answers as you go. Okay. Hopefully that helps. Welcome to Chapter 9 with online learning. Where's this one? I think you're awesome. I miss you. And I'll see you next week. Same time, same place. Okay, bye.